It's kind of inept for barbecue.
I have a bunch of
fits right
things, about 300 ones. I'll bring you some.
It is 7 p.m. on Monday, January 2nd, 2024, and I'm going to call this first regular meeting of the year to order. I do want to thank everyone who joined us, and for those that joined us prior to council for the swearing in of Councilmember Whalen, Councilmember Hall, and Councilmember Cedar. If you'd all join me in the flag salute, and if Councilmember Hall would lead us.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for the record, all council is present this evening. We have almost all of our staff here. We have Planning Manager Stallnecker, Finance Director Simpson, Chief Hernandez, and our City Clerk Tricia Summers. Director Madden will be joining us back here at City Hall on January 8th. Moving on to citizen participation. The purpose of the public comment period at this meeting is for those wishing to address council on any matter. It is not intended for debate or discussion with the public. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, and we kindly remind you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. We do have a couple action items later on in the evening, and you'll also have an opportunity to speak before those as well. We have one person signed up this evening, and it is Susan Johnson.
Susan Johnson, 2307 8th Avenue. I just want to thank the city staff for all they've done in the last year, and to our police department for the work they've been doing, but also to planning, who responded to multiple citizens in one community and helped solve a problem. And we want to thank the planning department for that. A lot of times they don't get the credit for the work that they do, and this was a big one. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to additions and deletions. Is there anything for that portion of our agenda this evening? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We'll need a motion to pass or to approve.
I motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Whitaker to pass the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Okay, so the first item we have tonight is the appointment for Mayor Pro Tem for the 2024 year. Just as a reminder, the Mayor Pro Tem shall be selected for a one-year term at this meeting, and this is how we conduct the election. I'll open up the floor for nominations. Any council member may nominate another council member. Nominations do not require a second. After all nominations have been received, I'll close the nomination period. Candidates shall vote in the order of the nominations being received. Just a reminder, you do not get a salary increase for this position, and then council members can vote for him or herself. As soon as the first candidate receives majority vote, that person will be declared the Mayor Pro Tem for 2024. So I will open up the floor for nominations. Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Whitaker for Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. We'll go Councilmember Hall.
I'd like to nominate Steve Peretti.
Okay.
Councilmember Peretti.
And Councilmember Whalen?
I was going to nominate Steve Peretti, but it's already done.
Okay. Any other nominations this evening? Okay. Do either of the candidates wish to speak on their nomination? Councilmember Whitaker?
Thank you. Just that I appreciate being nominated by now Mayor Pro Tem Peretti.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with the nomination for Councilmember Whitaker. I do round robin, and you'll yay or nay. So again, the first nomination is for Councilmember Whitaker. Councilmember Whitaker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember White?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Peretti?
Aye.
Councilmember Cedar?
Aye.
Councilmember Strader?
Aye.
Councilmember Hall?
I voted for Steve, but he's good. Yes.
Is that a yes? Okay. That's a politically correct yes. And Councilmember Whalen?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Well, it's unanimous. You are now Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Whitaker.
Thank you. I only have to change one part of the name.
I know, you're still gonna have to give me a few meetings to not mess up, so, and I probably will still mess up throughout the year.
No worries.
So do I need to state, nope, that's it. So Councilmember Whitaker is Mayor Pro Tem for 2024.
Thank you.
So moving on to the appointments to the Finance Committee was on page 19 of your packet. The Finance Committee generally has met at 9 a.m. on the last Wednesday of each month. The committee meets to discuss financial matters and to review distribution reports and financial items presented to City Council. We did take a little pause in the Finance Committee meetings with the changeover of our finance director, but we will be bringing that back in, obviously, 2024. And the start time and the day are flexible. So if the committee as a whole wants to meet later in the day or earlier in the day or a different day of the month, that is always an option. So we just need to have an open discussion about the Finance Committee. Would anyone like to serve on it?
I wouldn't mind serving.
Okay,
I would still like to serve.
we have 4. Who serves now? Can you remember? I know it's
Steve
You-
Winiker, Steve, and Whalen, right?
in Wayland.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Councilmember Whalen, do you want to continue to serve, or do you want to give up your seat for Councilmember Peretti?
I would like to serve. I've served on it for many, many years, very familiar with it, very comfortable with it, and I think we're doing very well with the staff we have now.
Councilmember Whitaker, would you be willing to swap basically with the Mayor Pro Tem? Like, now that you're Mayor Pro Tem, you'll have other duties
Yeah.
potentially, and have Councilmember Peretti sit on it?
That'd be perfectly fine
Okay.
with me.
Okay. Does that all work? So if we did Councilmember Whalen, Councilmember Strader, and now Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, is there anyone else who really wants to serve on it this year? I'm sorry. See, I already messed it up. Councilmember Peretti. Oh, man, it's going to take me a little bit. So Whalen, Strader, Peretti. Everyone good with that? Okay. So it is, go ahead.
Question?
You want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I move to appoint Councilmember Peretti, Councilmember Strader, and Councilmember Whalen to the Finance Committee for fiscal year 2024.
Do you need a second?
You need,
I do need a second, yeah.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to appoint Councilmember Peretti, Councilmember Strader, and Councilmember Whalen to the Finance Committee for the fiscal year of 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Moving on to our next item, it's on page 21 of your packet. It is appointments to the intergovernmental boards and commissions, which are PCRC, which is our Pierce County Regional Council, and they meet the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. in Tacoma. Councilmember Cedar, are they doing virtual and in person?
It's been hybrid, but there's going to be a push for more in person this year.
Okay. And then the other one is SCA, which is our Keene County counterpart, Sound Cities Association. They're currently meeting on the second Wednesday of each month at, no, excuse me, that's not right, I don't think. Yeah, it is, at 7 p.m. in Renton. Councilmember Peretti, are they meeting, is it hybrid still?
They're comboing, but they're doing the same.
Pushing to be back in person, okay. So currently, Councilmember Cedar sits on PCRC as the delegate with Councilmember Strader as the alternate, and SCA is Councilmember Peretti with myself as the alternate. We'll open up the floor for discussion. Councilmember Strader?
I would be glad to relinquish my seat to somebody else if they would like to have the, a chance to serve on that.
Okay.
You know, I would like to retain as the primary for PCRC. So if someone wanted to be the alternate, I attend most meetings. We're both welcome to attend, you know, the alternate and the primary. But I also am the PCRC rep for the Transportation Policy Board for the region.
Yeah.
So I'd like to keep that.
Okay. Anyone dying to be the delegate? No? Okay. Would someone like to be the alternate? Okay.
I could do the alternate.
Okay. Perfect. And they just meet right down behind Costco, right? Isn't that where they meet? They still meet down there, like in the annex building?
No, they've been
No?
meeting on like in the Arts District.
Oh, okay, so they changed it.
downtown, yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, PC, or excuse me, SCA. Councilman Peretti, do you like that one still?
No, I actually
Okay, okay. Does anyone want to be on SCA?
Not a good time.
That is one that I don't mind doing if no one is itching to sit on a board, but I would need an alternate.
I'd be alternate.
You would? It's not gonna be too, I mean, I'll probably make almost all of them. So, okay. So is everyone good with, PCRC is Councilmember Cedar with the alternate is Councilmember Hall. SC is myself with the alternate of Councilmember Cedar. Everyone's good? Okay. So again, before someone makes a motion, we have discussed that PCRC is Councilmember Cedar, Councilmember Hall is the alternate, SC is myself with the alternate as Councilmember Cedar. So I will take a motion. Councilmember Peretti?
I move that the appointments for 2024 for PCRC is Councilmember Cedar, and then also Councilmember Hall as alternate. And then for the SCA, that our mayor would be the main seat, and then our alternate would be Councilmember Cedar.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to appoint for the 2024 year to PCRC, Councilmember Cedar as the delegate, Councilmember Hall as the alternate, and for SCA, myself, the mayor, as the delegate, and the alternate would be Councilmember Cedar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. So thank you, Councilmember Hall and Councilmember Cedar. Moving on to our first contract of 2024. It is on page 27 of your packet. It is for our IT service with Lock Systems. I will turn the floor over to Chief Hernandez for a brief overview, and then following his discussion, I will need a motion for discussion.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and distinguished guests, and welcome to the first City Council meeting of 2024. Tonight, I bring before you, and I'm asking for authorization for the mayor to approve a renewal contract for professional services with Lock Systems in the amount of $112,302 for 2024. A little bit of background, Lock Systems has been our primary IT provider since 2017. When they originally started, we had about, well, I did an audit, and back in 2019, they were maintaining 65 computers and 16 servers. Today, they maintain 95 computers and 20 servers. And we also have seen since 2019 their help ticket requests go from up by 40%. And so in 2019, for example, to give you an idea of the type of tickets that they troubleshoot for the city as far as resolving some of our technological issues and so forth, it was 701 ticket requests in 2019. And in 2023, we had 980. And from 2022 to 2023, we saw a 22% increase in the ticket requests for troubleshooting some of our technological needs throughout the city. They also help us with providing critical infrastructure and meeting the federal mandates required for encryption, two-factor authentication, and some of the federal mandates that have come down from the federal government regarding protecting our critical infrastructure, such as our electrical system, our water systems. And then, of course, we have the police department where we have critical infrastructure and we have to protect that data through encryption and two-factor authentication. And we are subject for audits on a yearly basis, which they also help us comply with our insurance authority, WCIA. They also help us comply with the federal audits that come down where they're asking and checking to make sure that we're in compliance with the level of security that we're required to do. So far to date, we have been very happy with the services that they have provided with us. And so what we're asking for today is for the renewal of that contract for 2024. Last year, it was $79,340. This year, they're moving it to $112,302. But based on the needs and the service that they're providing to the city of Milton, my recommendation is that we accept this renewal and make a motion on it tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker?
Thank you. I move to authorize the mayor to execute the professional services agreement with Lock Systems for the amount of $112,302, or, well, you get the idea, for 2024.
Second.
I heard Councilmember Whalen first. You're both pointing at each other, so I'll go with Whalen. So it's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to authorize the mayor to execute the professional services agreement with Lock Systems for the amount of $112,302 for 2024. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, please. Thank you. It's a benefit, definitely, that the city's been working with them for this long. And I've worked with the company, not for them, with them in the past. And I'm really impressed with their work and their knowledge. Are they still based out of here? I know Dan moved, but.
Yes, they still have their shop down in Fife. So they
Okay.
still have a local seat, but the owner of the company is relocated to the Midwest, but they still are running their operations out of Fife.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I thought I'd check. Okay, but yeah, I'm totally pleased with this, renewing this agreement.
Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your second?
And thank you, Mayor. It may seem like a lot of money, and it is. There's a lot of work to be done, and they do it very well. And if you were to try to establish a group within our own organization to do what they do, it would be far beyond the number that we're looking at. They have a larger group to work with, and as far as I understand, and I've talked to Locke a few times, just coincidentally, very pleased with their work. That's all I'd like to say with that.
Thank you, Councilmember Whalen. Any other comments from council? No? Okay. It is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Jacqueline Whalen?
Jacqueline Whalen, 13th Avenue, Milton. Quick question, in such a big jump in 1 year, I heard 79,000 to 112,000. Could we get a little more information on the record about why the jump is so significant? Thank you.
Again, when I did the audit of the help tickets, because they have a system that we can track that, we did see a 22% increase from the tickets that were in 22 to 2023. The service commitment that they have been making to the city has been quite large, as we've had these federal mandates as of late that have been much more aggressive and restrictive as far as what they're looking for to protect our critical infrastructure. So we're seeing a much more labor-intensive investment from Lock Systems. Also, we've been bringing online a lot of, beyond just the two-factor authentications, encryptions, and things like that, and level of security. We also are working on our capital project where we are installing cameras throughout our critical infrastructure so that we're able to make sure that we've got appropriate security and to know if anything, when it happens, how it happens, and what might be done. So again, looking at the level of service they provided, I think it is quite reasonable. I don't know if, I know you were here, and I know some of the other councilmen were here, and women as well, when we did have 2 IT employees for the city of Milton. So when you think about the labor costs and the benefit costs and what we paid back then for our IT services and what we pay today, it's still a very good bargain. And again, I've worked with them on many projects, and my recommendation is that this is appropriate, and it is a lot of money, but I still think that it is a bargain for the city of Milton.
Chief Hernandez, and can you correct me if I'm wrong, you said 72 or 79 last year?
79,340
Okay.
last year.
79,340, okay. Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Strader?
Is there other companies that provide this service, or do other cities have it? And what is your knowledge about that?
Originally, we actually had a small cities consortium that Milton was the host sponsor of. And so currently they are, Lock Systems in particular, is providing service to the city of Normandy Park, which is very similar to the size of Milton. And again, I think that they are competitive when we start looking at if we were to do away with contract services and to hire our own in-house IT services with employees, what the cost would be to what we're paying. This is a better model for us. And then also, if there's anybody that has a background in IT knows that there are several specialties within IT. So by contracting with Lock Systems, it's kind of like our attorney services. The bench is deep. So whatever our problem is, they have a specialist within the organization that can just be brought to bear for that particular problem and then backed back out again. And so that we continue to pay a fair and reasonable rate for the city of Milton for what we need. So again, I think there are other companies, but I don't believe that we're going to get the same level of service, and I don't believe that we would be paying the same amount of money. In fact, I'm quite confident that it would be much more. Obviously, Councilman Peretti, who was in the city as a city administrator, if he can offer any insight into that, and also I know he has a professional background in IT services, and so he would also be an appropriate resource.
Thank you.
And I can say, as a person who reviews the invoices, they are now usually in the 40 to about 40-page range, double-sided of a month of what they've done. So I've seen an increase in that as well. And then generally, when they're on site on Thursdays, I'm now seeing 2, if not 3 people sometimes here helping us with tasks. And then they have also taken on more projects for us, which I think in the long run, when we've tried to price those projects out before, we save money by going through Lock. So.
And also there is another level of specialization to have access to the police computer databases that are national and local. We require them to go through an extra background process before they can even set foot into the police department. So there's fingerprinting and backgrounds and things like that that go on as well to provide that extra level of security. And then also with the federal regulatory requirements regarding our critical infrastructure and working on those systems and so forth. So.
Susan Johnson, did I see your hand?
Susan Johnson, 23078 Avenue. I was on council at the time when we have it, and there's no comparison. Now it's 100% of service, and as much as we have with risk of coming into the computer with invasions, the requests that are coming in for public request, and also continuity in service is important in the computer field, if you're aware, with computers and data. So it's really not that outrageous of an amount for the number of people that help when we had 2 before, and we paid more than that for the 2 people, counting their benefits.
Any other questions from council? Any other comments from council? Councilmember Whalen?
Well, just a comment in general. To facilitate the amount of support we get and the complexity of the city of Milton and all the information that we have, for $114,000, you're going to get 1.3 employees, maybe. And that doesn't count the benefits and everything else behind it. So the cost, although the dollars seem to be fairly significant, and they are, they're probably substantially less than if we try to hire an individual of the caliber of the people that they get us and pay their benefits and everything else that goes along with it. I don't think this price is exorbitant.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see here. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Peretti and seconded by Council Whitaker. Dang it. Thank you. Let me start over. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to authorize the mayor to execute the professional services agreement with Lock Systems for the amount of $112,302 for 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Moving on to our next item this evening, it is on page 39 of your packet. It is the second half of a grant approval from the Department of Commerce. I'm going to turn the floor over to our planning manager, Stallnecker, and then following her review, I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So yes, I think it actually was just middle of last year, probably early last year, we got a notice that the Washington State Department of Commerce with the Growth Management Services was authorized to present grants to various cities to help them with their 2024 GMA periodic update of the comprehensive plan and all the related development codes. Because of their schedule, they could only give us half of that last year. So they have sent us the contract paperwork to receive the second half, which is $62,500. That funding had already been previously designated by council and as part of the comprehensive plan contract and is included in the scope of work that was provided and approved for framework. And so we're just asking for authorization for the mayor to sign that interagency agreement.
Councilmember Cedar?
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the interagency agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce Growth Management Services to accept the grant funding of $62,500 to support the city's 2024 periodic update and amend the budget as appropriate.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to authorize the mayor to sign the interagency agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce Growth Management Services to accept the grant funding for $62,500 to support the city's 2024 periodic update and amend the budget as appropriate. Councilmember Cedar, did you want to speak to your motion?
I have one brief question, Finance Manager Stallnecker. This wasn't a competitive grant process, correct?
No, it's based on your population, depending on what size of city they designated, how much money. And our only requirements is basically to provide them our draft documents by the end of, we have to get them draft documents by the middle of June, and we automatically receive the funding.
It's nice to get the money that we already decided to spend, so this is perfect.
We have to do the work
We gotta
either
do it.
way, so it's nice of them to share us some money.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hall?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from council? Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Thank you. No, it's always good to get grant money, and especially when you don't have to match it. Then I read this, initially and went, oh, this is good news. I like these. So it helps us not having to pay for that process. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? This is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It has been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to authorize the mayor to sign the interagency agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce Growth Management Services to accept the grant funding for $62,500 to support the city's 2024 periodic update and amend the budget as appropriate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Moving on to our last item this evening, it is on page 61 of your packet. It is a purchase of police vehicles this year, and so I'm going to pass the floor over to Chief Hernandez again, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and audience, distinguished guests. This is to replace two vehicles which are already pre-planned in our asset replacement fund. So the money has already been earmarked in the 2024 budget, and we're asking for the council to go ahead and approve $144,000 so that these vehicles can be purchased and outfitted. These vehicles were bought on the state bid, and so tonight, those are the vehicles I bring to you. The details of the purchase regarding the specific vehicles, we've already put a place marker down to try to hold them. And the reason why we're doing it so soon is, as you know, we ended up getting our vehicles late in the spring, or not spring, but summer to fall. So we're hoping to hopefully beat them to the punch and not lose out on these state bid vehicles.
Councilmember Whalen?
No question, but agree to the recommended actions. Move to approve the purchase of police vehicles in an amount not to exceed the $140,000 and to authorize the waiver of competitive bidding requirements using the special facilities or market condition exception as allowed under RCW 39.04.280. One of the vehicles, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents necessary to execute these purchases.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Hall to approve the purchase of police vehicles in an amount not to exceed $140,000 and to authorize the waiving of competitive bidding requirements using the special facilities or market condition exemption as allowed under RCW 39.04.280 for one of the vehicles and authorize the mayor to sign all documents necessary to execute these purchases. Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly. These are items of discussion and funding that have been approved for this year's budget, primarily this year's budget. When it comes in and so forth, I don't know if there's going to be any financial changes and so forth, but we spent a lot of time investigating this, deciding this, and funding this. And all we're doing right now is spending it. And it's appropriate that we do that.
Okay. Councilmember Hall, did you want to speak to your second?
I just have one question. What are are you going to have two vehicles go out then? Out of service?
When these vehicles come in, they will replace vehicles that are getting ready to be rotated out. So yes, we will be bringing back to council to have two vehicles surplused.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Strader?
I'm just perplexed about why we don't have any information on those vehicles that are being replaced. It says two vehicles.
Well, we can certainly bring that information forward. It's, I can email to the clerk the amortization schedule, which shows our planned rotation, because we did this before you were a council person, where we had worked out the amortization schedule of the vehicles so that we would do end of life cycle on the vehicles. And so you'll be able to see the churning of the vehicles through the asset replacement schedule.
Okay. All right, that answers that. But my question was, because I looked at this thing and I looked at from December year 22 to now, we purchased 7 vehicles. And that seems like a lot of vehicles in 1 year. Is that because of that we're that bad in vehicles? These other vehicles are going to be replaced, or that we have replaced, are in that bad a shape, or what's the process?
Some of them have been vehicle accidents. Other ones have been, we got a grant where we had one vehicle that was, we didn't anticipate the grant. We ended up getting the grant. And so through that successful grant competing, we were able to go ahead and get an extra vehicle. And so, again, we can look at the amortization schedule and you'll be able to see when and why, and I can provide that to the clerk of the court, or the fleet manager can provide that to the clerk of the, not the clerk of the court, but the city clerk.
Yeah.
I'm used to being in court, sorry.
Okay. That's good. Now, another question. Will any of the equipment off these old vehicles be used on the new vehicles? I noticed that the price on some of the replacement cost was like 19,000. So that seemed a lot higher than what the replacement was on the last vehicle that we saw, the Explorer.
Well, it depends on the vehicle and the amount of emergency equipment. So administrative vehicles obviously don't have the same level of emergency equipment on them that a regular patrol vehicle would. And then on the DMOB, it usually costs, which is taking the equipment out of the vehicle, there's a cost associated with that. And what we found is that it's better to go ahead and surplus those vehicles and not pay for the labor costs to have the equipment taken out of those vehicles. But we do recycle like the radios, for example, because those are $10,000 a piece. And so when we try to always pull the radios out. But what we found is that it's more expensive to try to pull out old equipment and put it into a vehicle versus new equipment in the vehicle.
And so do you take out the rifle racks and
We do recycle some of the rifle racks. I mean, the
computer
things that are,
stands?
the things that are easiest to remove without having to cut electrical and things like that, we try to reuse those things. But I can certainly, again, have the subject matter expert, which is the fleet manager, write up a little blurb about why and why we don't pull that out.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you. And if we could get for council just an inventory of the vehicles that we do have currently, maybe not just the vehicles with the police department, but with all the departments, all the vehicles, so we can see what our vehicle list is.
Yeah, we do that currently through our insurance. We have to do that audit every year. So it's easy for us to generate a report, provide that to council.
Yeah, okay. I would certainly like to be able to look at that.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to it based on your question that, you know, every time council funds a new officer, add a new car. So that's probably where you may have seen some extra cars being bought, was with the funding of new officers.
Did we add more officers then
Not this last year, but we have since
before that?
we've continuously increased them. Yeah.
And one last question.
No, you're
Are
fine.
we planning on going to just F-150s in the fleet, or?
There has been conversations with the fleet manager a lot of police departments, for the ease of maintenance, like to prefer one vehicle platform, because then when we're having problems, it's consistent throughout the fleet, or if we're making purchases for all F-150s. But we continue to try to diversify the fleet. As you know, we've got some more gas-efficient vehicles, like you've seen the Kia Sportages. I downsized my truck from a 150 to a Maverick, again, for efficiency, which is some of the conversations that we've had in the past with council, is they'd like us to see citywide making a bigger effort to utilize hybrid vehicles to reduce our carbon footprint. And so we've tried to be reticent of that. And so sometimes we are making those purchases when we can for more hybrid energy efficient vehicles. So you are seeing, to get back, the fleet manager would like to have all 150s, but we're still diversifying our fleet with hybrid vehicles sprinkled throughout it when it's appropriate. And then also we have a couple of the Ford Explorers that have been introduced into the fleet as well.
So do we have a set of pool cars? So I understand having all the same police cars, everybody knows the cars and knows how everyone's different a little bit, but for the most part, they're all the same. I get that continuity, but is there a plan? No, that's it.
Yeah, we do have the amortization schedule, and we do maintain a certain level of pool cars so that as vehicles are being maintained, the officer has the ability to jump in one of those temporarily pool cars to drive on patrol. And so we do maintain a certain level of reserve cars that are in that pool. So we don't surplus all of our vehicles, so that only one person has one vehicle. We do keep a few extras for maintenance purposes and just in case we have a collision.
Yeah, there was one other thing that just perplexed me a little bit was that it asked to waive the bidding process for one vehicle, why not both
Yeah,
of
I was
them?
actually going to point that out. It's not one, it should just be the two, because we went through the vehicle replacement. I apologize, I didn't prepare this agenda, Bill, but that's a good catch. So we did use the state bid, so we're not required to do
Yeah,
special
that's-
conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So someone's gonna need to amend the motion. Sorry, we don't do this very often and I always forget. We do need to amend the motion because the word after RCW, the one of these vehicles needs to be removed, correct, Chief? It just needs to say allowed under RCW 39.04.280 for the vehicles.
Right, to make the purchase.
Yes. And you would think by now I would be a Roberts Rule expert, but I'm not, so.
Do you want an amendment?
Yeah, someone needs to amend it.
I can do
Okay.
that.
Councilmember Preddy?
I move to make a motion to amend the motion on the table at this current time to move to approve the purchase of police vehicles in amount not to exceed $140,000 to authorize the waiving of competitive bidding requirements using the special facilities or market conditions exemption as followed under RCW 39.04.280 for the vehicles and authorize, excuse me, the mayor to sign all documents necessary to execute these purchases.
Second.
Okay. So I just repeat the motion, correct? Okay. So it has been moved by Councilmember Preddy and seconded by Councilmember Strader to approve the purchase
I'm
of.
sorry, Mayor. Are you calling for a vote right now
No, don't I have to repeat it?
for the amendment?
Yes. Oh, right? Yeah.
Just making sure. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
sorry.
no, I appreciate it. I really do. Okay, so it was motion by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Strader to approve the purchase of police vehicles in an amount not to exceed $140,000 and to authorize the waiving of competitive bidding requirements using the special facilities or market conditions exemption as allowed under RCW 39.04.280 for the vehicles and authorize the mayor to sign all documents necessary to execute these purchases. Now we vote on the amendment, correct? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Because it's been amended.
Yes.
Vote on the amendment.
Yeah,
and
but
then
we
you
need
vote
to
on the
give an
final.
opportunity to speak.
Right.
Okay, so Councilmember Peretti, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thanks for clearing that. I just have a question. This is a question I've had when I worked for the city and after, is that competitive bidding, when we buy off a state contract, there is a competitive bidding process that happened, and that's why we can buy off the state contract. I've been doing that for years, and that's why the competitive bid process is done by the state. So I'm always confused of why we put in here that we're doing a special situation when we're buying off the competitive bid contract. And so that's always been very confusing to me when we have these kind of elements, because we are doing a competitive bid. It's just that the state has done that competitive bid process, and we're able to join with them and buy off that contract.
Okay.
So,
We can ask legal that question. You're
Yeah.
saying just take out the verbiage waiving the competitive bidding
well,
requirements.
it would be nice to note that we're buying off the state competitive bid,
Okay,
showing that we've done our due diligence in the process of buying off a competitive contract.
okay.
You know, it always bothers me when we're saying we're waiving our competitive bid, but then we're buying off a state contract. It's like we're not really waiving it. We're doing it just another way.
Okay. I understand.
Okay.
Any other comments? Nope. Councilmember Strader?
I'm ditto.
Ditto? Okay, we'll look into that one for the future one.
Yeah.
Any other comments from council? It is an action item. Are there, oh, sorry, Councilmember Cedar.
Mayor, are you seeking comments regarding the amendment or regarding the motion?
I don't know. What am I
believe
saying?
The motion currently is for the amendment, so we need to approve the amendment before we get
First,
back to
and
the motion in
then-
general, right?
Okay. Okay, so we need to approve the amendment. Can I just say all those that approve the amendment? Or I need to take comment on amending the motion, is what you're saying? Okay, so is there any comments on amending the motion? And I will take a Roberts Rules 101 refresher this year. Okay, so we're going to vote on amending the motion. Thanks, guys, for getting me through this. Okay, so the motion has been amended by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Strader. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendment is carried 7-0. Now we need to vote on the amendment.
I believe the floor would now open for further discussion regarding the motion
Okay.
as amended.
I appreciate your help today.
You're on it, Mayor, you got it.
Okay, so any further discussion from council? Okay.
I do have.
Oh, you do? I don't, okay.
Which is why
Councilmember,
I've been waiting for this.
Councilmember Cedar.
So patiently.
Thank you, there. Chief, I wanted to ask a bit more about what's being replaced. Do you know if the vehicles being replaced are in the sedan category, the more fuel-efficient category, or are they F-150s?
I know that one of them is a Charger. Actually, I know that another one was a Charger. So we just moved one of our 2012 Charger to the pool until it's surplused. And it also is our last rear-wheel drive vehicle in our fleet. And then I know that we have an all-wheel Charger that is due to be replaced as well, and that is getting ready to come out of the fleet as well. So my first instinct is to say that there are 2 Chargers that are being replaced.
And my understanding is that, at least of my general understanding regarding police vehicle evolution, is that the Chargers are not favored to go forward. Is that your feeling as well?
Yeah, that's correct. Based on some of the conversations that I've had with the fleet manager, they were cheaper to purchase in the beginning, but they ended up being higher in maintenance and also less gas efficient. Supposedly, the F-150s are a better vehicle. So, but that's to be argued between fleet manager
And
people.
who is the fleet manager?
Sergeant Hume.
So I want to express a bit of frustration because I believe for the last 3 years we've discussed moving to a more hybridization of the fleet, smaller vehicles, better fuel economy, and I appreciate the efforts you've made, selflessly driving an attractive smaller truck and some of the moves to other vehicles. But I fear that the fleet manager is not hearing that. And I don't know where else the rest of council is. I can say that I am adamantly opposed to purchasing more large trucks. And it's not just fuel economy, although I will note that the fuel economy listed for these, the high end is 23, and in Milton, you're not going to see highway mileage. You're going to see the low end of 18. And one of the points that's often made is that they auto stop, and therefore we get better mileage. But that's not true because that's disabled in police vehicles. So I worry that we are now bringing in vehicles that are larger and less fuel efficient to, if they're a patrol vehicle, for a 5 or 7 year amortization cycle. And there seems to be a tendency to trend toward these larger vehicles when our city is getting more compact and we lack sidewalks, we lack pedestrian safety. We should be moving as a city away from trucks. It's really that simple. We should set the trend in every department that we support smaller vehicles and pedestrians. So I fear that. Now, at the same time, I 100% support funding the police state officers. You guys are excellent. You're doing great work. So I don't want to be unclear about that. And I will vote yes on this, but I want that message to be clear that I, for one, will not, I will not sit by and just approve truck after truck. That's not what I want to see for the city. So that's my piece on it. Thank you for all you do, and thank you to the fleet manager.
Any other comments on the amended motion? No? Yes? Okay. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. So it has been moved by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Strader to approve the purchase of police vehicles in an amount not to exceed $140,000 and to authorize the waiving of competitive bidding requirements using the special facilities or market conditions exemption as allowed under RCW 39.04.280 for the vehicles and authorize the mayor to sign all documents necessary to execute these purchases. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. That concludes all of our items on the agenda. So we will move to council reports. And we will start with Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Thank you, and I'll start out with, it's great to be back. It feels like we have been here since last year. That's a really old joke, I'm sorry. But it's nice to be back. But on a serious note, I'm very honored that I was nominated as Mayor Pro Tem and being voted in I take that as a vote of confidence, and so that I'm very honored with that, and I hope I fulfill the role when needed well, and we can help us move forward more and help the mayor when need be. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember White?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilmember Preddy?
Thank you, Councilmember Whitaker, for taking on the role. I know you'll do a great job this coming year. I just want to speak out. I appreciate the work that I've seen the street sweeper, if I can talk tonight, around, and I appreciate that going on. And I also see sidewalk work, and I know it's done by a private party up on some of the streets and that, but I'm hoping for the tie-ins to happen. In 2024, I'll be bringing it up a lot about, okay, where are we with our sidewalk project and getting our tie-ins going between these projects and that. But, and again, I'm glad I hope everybody had a great holiday season, and it's good to be back.
Thank you. Councilmember Cedar?
Just want to say I had an excellent time at the Santa Parade with the city, mostly because I got to ride in Councilmember Hall's wonderful float, but it was great to see everybody out. It was a wonderful event. It's just fun to be part of a special city like this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Schrader?
Nothing at this time.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes, the parade was a lot of fun. You made an excellent Grinch. It squealed down the road when they saw him. He played with them. It was great. There was a few comments that there was only 2 of us. Personally, this is my forte. I like being a part of the community, and I was a little disappointed that more couldn't help. I did appreciate the trailer, Councilmember Preddy, because we couldn't have done it without you. Another thing that was fun was I went with Nils Luckman to go get all the toys that had been donated. And not only were the people that donated were happy to do it, but the businesses were so excited when we come to pick them up. And that's part of being in the community. And then watching Santa and Mayor and the elves give the gifts out during the parade and after the parade.
Yeah.
That's very important to some of these kids that probably don't get a lot of gifts. So we earmark families that could use a little bit of Santa help, and it makes my heart grow bigger. Sorry, but it just does. And I noticed the bench down at the trail, the memory bench, Milton Lofman has been tagged badly.
Has it? Okay.
Severely.
Okay. We'll let the crews know about that. Thank you. Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor. I just give a little feedback from what I've heard within the city for the events that took place for the Christmas holiday and so forth. And people are very enthusiastic about it. Very pleased with it. I've got a few exchanges going back and forth. I read most of the material from the city. Congratulations. Another nice Christmas in the city of Milton.
Yeah. It was very wonderful this year. It was good. Thank you. It was what? Warm. It was warm. Oh, thank goodness. Moving on to director reports. Planning Manager Stolniker.
I'm hoping I'm not taking anything from the mayor's report. We had 2 new employees start today, which is very exciting. Jaden Ripley as the new permit tech, and Carlina Vetter is down at Operations Public Works Administrative Assistant. And so, I realize it's only the first day, but both I've heard really good things about. One's working for me, and I'm very excited. So, and then the second is there's been some interest from various staff and stuff about seeing if the Bridge Warehouses would host a tour. So I didn't know if there was any council members that might be interested in that, and if so, if you'll let me know, then I will try to coordinate. My guess is they would be thrilled to host one or two opportunities for people to come see what they're doing. The first shell building's done. They have a small area done. I realize it's huge and different and not Milton in many ways, but it is very beautiful for a warehouse project. So other than that, nothing else.
Yeah, so maybe, is everyone interested if we just come up with some times? We'll come up with some times with
Okay.
Bridge and then send them out.
That would be great.
Want to do that? Okay, and then I guess we can't really have quorum, so we do probably need to split it up a little bit. Councilmember Whalen?
Just a comment. I'd like to be on the list for the tours. I'd like to see how that's turned out, more than you can see from Milton Road. Very enthusiastic about that, so.
Yeah, it sounds like I'll see if they can give us maybe 2 or 3 different time slots and see who's can fit in where. So
Okay, thank you, I'd appreciate
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
Any chance of late afternoon would be great too. One
Okay.
of 'em.
Councilmember Hall, is like 4:35 for you? Is that what time is I?
I get off at 4.
4, so if we did something about 4:30, you'd be able to make it?
Even 4:15 I could make.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll connect with everyone on that as Planning Manager Stalnecker gets it arranged. Director Simpson?
Yes, I'd like to follow the planning manager's lead there and mentioned we had a new hire a month and a half ago, Dan Turner, and he came to us with a lot of prior experience in utility billing in a small municipality, as well as doing other finance positions where he was previously working. And he's just doing a great job. And so I just wanted to let the council know that we had a good hire who brought experience and is doing really well.
Thank you. Chief?
All right, just to give you an update, we still have an opening. We are in the process of backgrounding a couple of applicants to fill Paul Johnson's position. There's hope on the horizon as there's a big push to repeal some of the legislation regarding the authority and reforms that were taken away from the police about 2 years ago. And again, if you see something, say something. Today we had a pirate that was working Emerald Street, and we got several photos, but it was after they were gone. And so by the time we were alerted that the person was working Emerald Street, they were already out of the area. But we do have a lot of photos. So if you see something, say something, be vigilant. It still continues to escalate with violent crime and property theft. So again, if you see something, say something, and keep your head on a swivel. And then regarding the community outreach, our baseball cards are being renewed with all of our new officers. And so hopefully we'll get those in about a month, and then I'll make sure every council person gets a packet, and it will have the officer bio on the back and their own personal message, and then you'll be able to put a face to the officer. And then, of course, we're going to put some media out and encourage the community to collect all the cards of the officers so that they know who their officers are. So.
Councilmember Whalen?
If I might, for Director Simpson, do you have a time in your mind where the Finance Committee can meet? We used to do it on the third Wednesday. I got to think about that. I have to look at it. But just to know, we don't have to have one right away if you're not ready for it. But put your plans, set your plans up so we can be consistent with the third or fourth Wednesday, whatever it winds up being, in the time.
Okay.
I'm flexible, so whatever the committee decides, we can meet.
The-
Yeah,
fi-
I would like to say, being on the finance committee, we've missed the last 2-3 months now, and I'd like to get it on the books as soon as possible.
Yeah, and what's convenient? What's convenient would be consistently convenient for you. You're probably now in the position long enough to kind of be able to forecast that a little bit.
I'll email the new finance committee members and coordinate with you guys a time, and then we can get started meeting again.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, just a few things. So this is a reminder for some and probably maybe new for others. So during the month of December, we had a employee within the Finance Committee voice concern that she was receiving calls and text messages from a council member requesting information on the budget. I don't know which council member, that's been kept private, but I do need to remind council, when it comes to staff, per your council procedures 11.8, that individual requests for information can be made directly to the department director unless otherwise determined by the mayor. So council's authority is to contact the people in this room, as well as Director Madden, if you have questions. It is not appropriate to go to staff. And it's not only not appropriate, it's unfair to your fellow council members, because whoever this person was got information that was not given to the rest of the council. And that is just not fair. So when you email me or the directors, we then email the response to all of council so that all of council is privy to that information. And so I just want to remind council, whether you know it or not, your contact is directly with the directors in this room or myself. Okay, we're good? Sorry if you're with the reminder. So I do want to thank Councilmember Hall and Councilmember Cedar. The parade was amazing. It just gets you even more in the holiday spirit. And following the parade, myself with Nils and Councilmember Hall joined us. Our community outreach person joined us, Martin Moore, Nils's daughter, and our chaplain and his daughter. And we went to some of our lower income apartment complexes and were able to completely surprise people at their door with gifts. And it's all because of our community. We would not have been able to do what we do without the support of our community. Uptown Copy, for instance, donated $300, which we turned around and bought gift cards to give to adults that we came in contact with. And so it's just, again, thank you to the community for all that they do to help support us. As I said earlier, Director Madden will return January 8th, so next Monday. And then as a friendly reminder, City Hall hours have changed as of today. We have moved to a 9:80 schedule for our staff and efficiency of work. And so we are open to the public Monday through Thursday, starting at 7:30 a.m., and then we close at 4:30 p.m. So I have gotten nothing but positive feedback from residents and business owners, and so hopefully that trend continues. I emailed you all the contract with the union, so there is a disclaimer in there that we both have, I think, 6 months to back to the old schedule, but day one went fine, and I hope we continue. So for those that can't get up early, 7 was early for some of our employees. Okay, so seeing that all of our items have been concluded, I will adjourn our meeting at 8:05 p.m.